When a person fails, the world calls it defeat. But in truth, failure is not an end, it's the very beginning of growth. Every wound that life gives is not meant to destroy you, it's meant to awaken something powerful within you. Failure strips away the illusion of perfection and forces you to confront your real self. The pain you feel after falling is not punishment, it's preparation. Failure is the mirror that reveals the truth behind every illusion we build about ourselves. It strips away the false image of strength and comfort, leaving behind only what is real. When everything collapses, when every plan falls apart, that is the moment you come face to face with your true nature. You see what you can endure, how much you can fight, and what you truly desire. Failure doesn't destroy you, it exposes you. It breaks the outer shell of arrogance and awakens the depth of resilience that sleeps within. Every failure carries a message that success can never teach. When you lose, you are forced to learn to analyze and to rebuild yourself from the ashes of your mistakes. The pain of falling burns away carelessness and replaces it with clarity. You begin to understand that every rejection, every defeat and every setback was never the end, but a redirection towards something stronger. The world may laugh at your fall, but life silently prepares your next rise. Only those who have fallen deeply understand the value of standing again. Failure destroys the ego that whispers lies of perfection. It teaches humility, the kind that makes you grow in silence. It reminds you that success without struggle is weak and hollow. Each failure becomes a test of patience, a trial of courage, and a lesson in endurance. The stronger your failure, the deeper your understanding of what it truly means to rise. Those who avoid failure also avoid growth, for no soul evolves in comfort. When you dare to fail, you prove that you have the courage to try. The act of trying, despite fear and uncertainty, already separates you from the ones who never start. Every person who has achieved greatness carries invisible scars from countless failures. Those scars are not signs of defeat but symbols of persistence. Success blooms in the soil watered by failure. Without the lessons of pain, achievement loses its meaning. Failure refines your mind and strengthens your spirit. It teaches that nothing in life is wasted if you learn from it. When you stop fearing failure, you begin to use it as a weapon. Each fall becomes a step higher, each mistake a doorway to wisdom. The ones who embrace failure as part of their journey no longer chase success, they attract it naturally. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is its foundation, the first and most powerful step toward it. Failure is the mirror that reveals the truth behind every illusion we build about ourselves. It strips away the false image of strength and comfort, leaving behind only what is real. When everything collapses, when every plan falls apart, that is the moment you come face to face with your true nature. You see what you can endure, how much you can fight, and what you truly desire. Failure doesn't destroy you, it exposes you. It breaks the outer shell of arrogance and awakens the depth of resilience that sleeps within. Every failure carries a message that success can never teach. When you lose, you are forced to learn, to analyze, and to rebuild yourself from the ashes of your mistakes. The pain of falling burns away carelessness and replaces it with clarity. You begin to understand that every rejection, every defeat, and every setback was never the end, but a redirection towards something stronger. The world may laugh at your fall, but life silently prepares your next rise. Only those who have fallen deeply understand the value of standing again. Failure destroys the ego that whispers lies of perfection. It teaches humility, the kind that makes you grow in silence. It reminds you that success without struggle is weak and hollow. Each failure becomes a test of patience, a trial of courage, and a lesson in endurance. The stronger your failure, the deeper your understanding of what it truly means to rise. Those who avoid failure also avoid growth, for no soul evolves in comfort. When you dare to fail, you prove that you have the courage to try. The act of trying, despite fear and uncertainty, already separates you from the ones who never start. Every person who has achieved greatness carries invisible scars from countless failures. Those scars are not signs of defeat but symbols of persistence. Success blooms in the soil watered by failure. Without the lessons of pain, achievement loses its meaning. Failure refines your mind and strengthens your spirit. It teaches that nothing in life is wasted if you learn from it. When you stop fearing failure, you begin to use it as a weapon. Each fall becomes a step higher, each mistake a doorway to wisdom. The ones who embrace failure as part of their journey no longer chase success, they attract it naturally. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is its foundation, the first and most powerful step toward it. Success that comes without failure is like a fragile glass. It shines for a moment but shatters at the first strike of adversity. Without the experience of struggle, success has no foundation, no depth, no strength to endure the storms of reality. When a person rises too easily, they mistake luck for skill and comfort for mastery. But life always tests what is not built on truth. The success that has never tasted failure falls apart when pressure arrives because it lacks the endurance born only from hardship. Failure hardens your will and sharpens your vision. It teaches you to move through darkness without fear, to adapt when everything seems lost. Success built through failures carries scars that act as reminders of resilience. Those scars are not weaknesses, they are evidence of survival. Every fall trains the mind to stand again, to fight again, and to stay calm when everything crumbles. The man who has failed 100 times stands firmer than the one who has only known victory once. A success untouched by failure is hollow because it has not been tested. Real success is forged in resistance, in moments when nothing seems to work but you still continue. Each obstacle, each rejection, and each mistake adds weight to your inner strength. The discipline you build in the face of loss becomes the armor that protects your future victories. When you have failed and learned, no storm can shake you because you have already been through the fire and returned wiser. Failure transforms ambition into wisdom. It replaces arrogance with awareness. Those who reach success without stumbling often lose it quickly because they never learned its value. But those who fought their way through pain, doubt, and defeat carry a deeper understanding of what it truly means to achieve. They know that success is not about applause or recognition, it is about endurance, patience, and the quiet confidence that nothing can break them anymore. True success is not a reward, it is a reflection of how much you've survived. The strength of your foundation determines the height of your rise. When your success is built upon failures, it gains the weight of truth and the stability of experience. No wind can shake it, no judgment can diminish it. Failure becomes the invisible force that roots success deep into your being, turning every storm into proof that you were built to last. Failure teaches you lessons that comfort never can, because comfort keeps you asleep while failure wakes you up. Comfort makes you repeat your days without growth, but failure forces you to confront what you've been avoiding. When everything is easy, your mind grows lazy, your instincts dull, and your hunger fades. But when you fail, you are stripped of illusion and faced with truth. That pain pushes you to observe, to understand, and to act differently. No comfort can ever match the awareness born from the sharp sting of falling short. Comfort whispers that you are safe, but failure shouts that you are capable of more. The lessons that emerge from failure are carved into your memory through struggle. Every mistake burns a mark that reminds you where not to step again. This learning is not gentle, it is forged in discomfort and doubt. But it is real. It shapes your character, forces you to adapt, and builds the kind of understanding that only experience can give. Comfort teaches nothing because it demands nothing, failure demands everything and gives wisdom in return. In comfort, the mind becomes fragile, afraid of risk and resistant to change. But failure kills fear by showing that even after losing, you still stand. You learn that pain does not destroy you, it strengthens you. That realization changes how you face life. You stop avoiding challenges because you no longer fear falling. You begin to chase growth instead of ease. Failure becomes the silent mentor that teaches through experience, not through words. Every failure has within it a question that comfort never asks. What are you made of? To answer that, you must act, endure and rise. The struggle to correct your mistakes builds muscles of resilience that comfort will never grow. It's in the discomfort that creativity is born, solutions are found and real transformation begins. Those who live only in comfort never meet their full power because they never step beyond what is safe. Comfort gives peace, but failure gives depth. The person who has failed and learned walks with clarity and strength that comfort can never create. The lessons of failure stay with you forever, shaping your choices and sharpening your mind. While comfort may keep you warm, failure gives you fire. It turns you into someone unshaken by loss and unafraid of effort, someone who grows stronger every time life tries to break them. Each time you fall, you are being redirected, not rejected. Life does not close doors to punish you, it shifts your path to where you are meant to be. Every fall that feels like failure is often protection from a route that would have led nowhere. When something collapses, it clears the space for something better to take shape. The redirection may hurt, but it saves you from wasting years chasing what was never truly yours. The fall is not the end of your journey, it is a turn meant to lead you toward the road you were destined to walk. Falling makes you question everything you believed about control. It humbles you, reminding you that no matter how perfectly you plan, life always has a greater plan. The rejection you feel is never the final answer, it is an invitation to pause, to observe and to understand what went wrong. Sometimes, life removes what you cling to because it knows it will limit your growth. Every fall carries a silent message asking you to trust the unseen direction that pain is pointing toward. When you fall, you begin to see the truth that success often hides. You see how fragile your plans were, how temporary your victories can be. That realization reshapes your focus. You stop forcing things that are not meant for you and you start aligning with what truly fits your purpose. Redirection brings clarity even though it arrives disguised as loss. The ground you hit after falling becomes the surface where new strength and understanding are built. Every fall removes something unnecessary. It strips away false ambitions, weak intentions and shallow desires. What remains after the fall is the core of who you truly are. You start walking with fewer illusions and greater vision. The people, opportunities and dreams that stay with you after failure are the ones aligned with your real path. Redirection is not chaos, it is life's discipline, shaping you through experience until you are ready for what you once thought was beyond reach. Falling does not mean you are moving backward. It means life is guiding you toward alignment. The pain that follows is only a sign of transformation. Those who resist the fall keep repeating the same mistakes, but those who surrender to redirection find wisdom and peace. Every setback you endure, every plan that breaks, and every loss that hurts is silently preparing you for something higher. Redirection is the hidden order behind every fall, the quiet force that turns failure into destiny. The deeper the failure, the higher the rise that follows if you choose to stand again. When life throws you to the ground, it is not to bury you, but to test your strength to rise. Every deep fall shakes the weak foundations of your being and exposes the parts of you that need rebuilding. The deeper you go into the darkness of defeat, the more clearly you begin to see what light truly means. It is through the cracks of pain that wisdom enters, and that wisdom becomes the force that lifts you higher than you have ever been before. Deep failure strips away the illusions that comfort creates. It forces you to question everything you thought you knew about success, strength and purpose. When you are shattered, there is no mask left to wear, there is only truth. And in that truth lies the seed of transformation. You start to build again, but this time from the core of your being, not from the surface of pride. That rebuilding carries more power because it comes from experience, not imagination. The pain of deep failure cuts through you, but that pain refines your character. It forges a strength that can't be learned in comfort or ease. Every tear becomes a lesson, every scar becomes a reminder, and every disappointment becomes a foundation stone. You begin to realize that without falling, there can be no rising. Without breaking, there can be no growth. The intensity of your failure determines the height of your rise, because the same energy that broke you can, when redirected, build you. When you rise after a deep fall, you no longer rise the same person. You rise quieter but stronger, humbler but fiercer, wounded but wise. You stop seeking perfection because you have already seen the power of imperfection. Every time you stand again, you reclaim a part of yourself that you lost in the fall. The rise that follows deep failure is not just an external success, it is the inner awakening of your real power. The depth of failure creates the height of your transformation. The more you have fallen, the more capacity you have to rise. Those who have never failed deeply can never understand the strength of standing again. It is not the success that defines you, it is the will to rise after being broken. The climb from the deepest fall is the purest form of victory, not because the world sees it, but because you know what it cost you to rise. Failure forces you to stop chasing validation and start seeking transformation. When you fail, the applause fades and the opinions of others lose their power. You begin to see that trying to impress people only weakens your purpose. Failure strips away the noise of external approval and leaves you face to face with your own reality. It breaks the cycle of needing recognition and replaces it with a hunger for inner change. That shift is where growth begins, when you stop trying to be seen and start trying to become. The fall from validation into transformation is painful because it kills your pride. It exposes how much of your effort was built on the desire to be accepted rather than the will to evolve. But in that pain lies truth. You begin to understand that transformation cannot happen while you are still pretending. Failure forces honesty, and honesty becomes the seed of genuine progress. When you no longer live to meet others' expectations, you start building from authenticity instead of approval. Transformation is not born in comfort, it comes from the chaos that failure creates. Every mistake becomes a mirror that shows you what must change within. The more you fail, the more you understand yourself, your weaknesses, your habits, and your hidden strengths. Validation feeds your ego, but failure feeds your evolution. Through loss, you begin to rebuild with intention, clarity, and depth. The noise of the crowd fades, and what remains is your own voice, sharper and more focused than before. Failure pulls you inward. It teaches you to seek meaning instead of applause, discipline instead of motivation, and purpose instead of praise. You begin to chase mastery, not attention. The opinions that once controlled your decisions lose their weight because transformation requires independence of thought. Each time you fail and rise again, you move closer to your true self, unshaken by judgment and unharmed by rejection. When failure stops being your enemy, it becomes your greatest mentor. It destroys the false image you tried to maintain and shapes a new version of you built from experience. Validation may give you moments of satisfaction, but transformation gives you a lifetime of strength. The person who learns from failure no longer seeks to be admired, they seek to be evolved. And in that quiet transformation, success finds its way naturally. The courage to fail is greater than the desire to win because it shows a strength that few possess. Anyone can dream of success, but only the brave dare to risk falling for it. Failure demands vulnerability, and vulnerability demands power. When you attempt something without knowing the outcome, you step into the unknown with faith in your own will. That act alone separates those who merely wish from those who truly live. The courage to fail is not about losing, it is about refusing to let fear control your life. The desire to win often comes from ego, but the courage to fail comes from purpose. Those driven only by victory crumble when results do not appear, but those driven by courage rise again and again. Failure becomes their teacher, not their shame. Each attempt, no matter how painful, builds endurance. The one who is not afraid to fail grows unstoppable because they no longer measure their worth by success, but by their willingness to try again.